What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Passive Tree Podcast, a podcast dedicated to talking about life, Path of Exile 2, and everything in between. Today, on episode 37, I'm joined by a fellow PoE2 creator and streamer. He's none other than Dead Rabbit. Welcome on, and how are you doing today, sir?
I am doing extremely well, I have to say. Past few weeks have been amazing. I'm doing super well. PoE is in a little bit of an off season now, I would say. I think for today, honestly, is the first day where I actually really noticed it being in a little bit of an off season or like dying down, I would say. It's always like very noticeable as someone with a stream that is purely dedicated to one game. You can definitely notice when a cyclical game like Path of Exile kind of dies down a little bit for the season. And it's very noticeable now, but I used to not like this part a lot. I kind of enjoy it now because it's just a little bit of downtime. So I'm just looking at stuff to do now. Maybe there's going to be some other games now in the stream. Maybe we'll see. Get ready for the next league. Get ready for everything that's to come. So yeah, I'm very zen right now. I'm very zen. I'm used to be very scared during these times, but I'm not that scared anymore.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It's funny. This is our fourth cycle with Path of Exile 2 now, and you see, obviously the very exciting hype season before the league. When the league starts off, it's obviously very exciting too. People are watching and tuning in and stuff like that. And then there's this like trailing off of people, people lose interest in the game. They're not playing as much, they're not watching as much Twitch, but I know exactly what you mean. As we kind of get used to this cycle, it starts to feel a lot more familiar, and it actually feels a lot more, as you mentioned, like zen and chill. And now like we're getting to the point where it's the downswing, but that only means that the hype to come is around the corner. Yeah, I wanted to start off by just saying like happy 1 year anniversary, man. Like today is a special day for both of us. We both started February of 2025 making PoE2 content and streaming like that. And yeah, so dude, I can't believe it's already been like a year, man. It's crazy how fast time flies.
Yeah. I've been reminiscing a lot over the past over the past week, over the past few weeks, because yeah, the last year strictly I started in December, or like the first video I uploaded, I think this was December 2024, so it's a little bit over a year. But I started streaming on Twitch, which I would describe as like the big thing that obviously is probably the most important thing to me as it stands right now. I started streaming on Twitch in February 2025, I think 9th of February. So it's like 5 days more to the exact 1 year anniversary. And then, yeah, I mean, same goes for you. And been kind of crazy, and everything's just happening so fast. This is all like super surreal still because uh, yeah, I don't know if it's called imposter syndrome or something. I definitely have like a shit ton of that all the time, because I'm always like, wait, this is what I do now. Because if you would have told the 16, 17-year-old me that always just watched streamers, watched especially ARPG streams and everything, that it will eventually turn out to be my job when I'm 34, but not that I try to do it for like 15 plus years and then it happens at 34, but it basically just happens on a whim in like a year. It's kind of crazy. I'm just grateful, because even though it's not like monetary wise or whatever, like I don't care. It's like not the most amazing thing of all time. It's just, to me, it has been the most amazing thing. Like personally, I always judge everything that I do, or everything, or how I'm feeling, how well I get out of bed in the morning. And I've said this like so many times on stream already, and I basically say it every single time after, or when I end my stream. I don't think I remember a time in my life where I was this glad to get up in the morning for anything. So I think that's just anything, like that's all I need basically. And having that feelings and having those things validated by what has happened in the last 2 weeks as well, with the ExileCon thing and with all the support in my stream and everything, just clicking a little bit. It's just like it's all you could ever ask for. It's amazing. I love this right now with all the ups and downs, everything. I have so many amazing people in my stream every day that are just tuning in, say hi. Sometimes, yeah, today I'm gonna have you on my second screen for work and whatever. It's just surreal to me. I'm beyond grateful. I don't know. This is amazing.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a perfect answer, dude. I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head when you talk about like how you feel when you get out of bed in the morning. Like, we've all gone through like, dark times in life where you don't want to get out of bed at all. But for me, I kind of, not kind of, but I can completely relate and like being able to just like get excited about like the adventure of like content creation, streaming, all that has to offer. Also, like being excited to just play a game that you truly love and are passionate about, and the community that surrounds that game as well. I think it's like an all-encompassing sort of really cool thing that's happening. And yeah, dude, it just feels so good to be on this ride with you all, with the community, and with yourself, Rabbit. Um, so yeah, you mentioned that the first video that you dropped was like about a year ago on YouTube, and so I did some digging, and I saw that like the first video you posted was like a Spark Stormweaver build, and you were like, "Hey, look at me! I'm doing T1 maps. Come check out my stream." And so like, what made you inspired to like put this video on YouTube, like way back, like a year and a bit ago?
I like how I even started to do or put like any video on YouTube. I don't necessarily remember completely. I just remember how I got into just uploading anything to my YouTube, because at the time I just basically recently quit my job. I think PoE 2 came out, or at least the early access came out, I think December 6th or something. And I think I quit my job in October, and I was just very depressed for 2 months or something. And then a friend actually got me into PoE 2, because I completely lost track of it, because I played a shit ton of PoE 1. Some people always forget that a little bit in my stream, because I'm very, very PoE 2 focused now, and I'm not even playing Freesia at the moment, for example. And I don't think I'm going to go back into PoE 1 at all anymore. Also for the reasons that I stated before, that I kind of like this downtime now a little bit, and having this like 2-month cycle having like a league launch every 2 months, I think would be very tiring for me over the long haul. So I from 2014 I think to 2019 I played a lot of PoE 1 as well. I still have like triple the hours I have in PoE 1 that I have in PoE 2, even though I basically didn't do anything else but PoE 2 for the last year. And a friend of mine basically reminded me, oh wait, PoE 2 is going into early access on December 6th. And with that friend, I did just a campaign run. I think I started out as a monk, actually. I think he started as a sorceress, and I started out as a monk. And then I re-rolled and everything. And once I got into the end game, and once I started to look up YouTube content myself, for PoE 2, I wasn't really satisfied with what I had. And since I had the time, I was like, oh, maybe I'm just gonna upload my own stuff. And then I just started to upload just me doing T1 maps or whatever, like really low effort stuff, not even saying like this is a guide or whatever, or I'm just doing T1 maps. And then I streamed a little bit just playing without like commentating on anything. And then I think the first video I did that really got at least a little bit of views, or it like popped off a little bit, was I think just like anointing your amulet. I think there was like I wanted to I saw that someone had an anoint on their amulet for some reason, or I think I bought an amulet on trade and it had an anoint on it, and I was like, wait, where is that coming from? And then I googled and I looked at the PoE 2 wiki, and I looked at the PoE 2 database, and I was trying, like, I couldn't find anything to anoint, and especially not on YouTube. And it's like a 1-minute process of explaining the video. And then I found one video on YouTube of someone explaining how to anoint, and it was a 25-minute video. And I was like, what? and then I did a video of how to anoint your amulet, and I explained it in like 50 seconds, and the video was done. And people in the comments of that video, I think it got like 20,000 views in one day or whatever, which was crazy to me as someone who had like 50 subscribers.
Yeah.
And people in the comment were just like, yo, finally someone that just explains something without rambling for 25 minutes, even though I am known now for rambling a lot, as you can see right now, since you asked me one question and I've been rambling for the last 5 minutes. And then I don't know. It was just very fun to me, and I started then to do a Spark Stormweaver build, which I think I got to a point where it was very, very strong, especially compared to like what I saw on YouTube. And then it started going from there. And after that, I have to say, it all just went like in a blur, kind of. And I started streaming on YouTube, had a bunch of people on YouTube coming into the stream every day, and then it just kind of started happening. I didn't mean for any of this.
It's very interesting that, you know, I don't want to use the word addiction because I don't think that's the right word, but there's something that gets triggered in your brain when you see a video do well on YouTube. I'm sure you can relate to this when you're like, you know,
dude,
you see that
YouTube,
yeah,
doing YouTube or like content in general. I can only speak for me, but I've heard other people, especially smaller YouTubers or smaller content creators, echo this sentiment a lot. It is hella addicting.
Yes.
See, I remember a time, and I don't do this as often anymore, but I remember a time when I was uploading videos to YouTube, especially in the phase where I kind of thought, okay, I might be able to do this full time at one point. And I remember a time where I was, and my wife got crazy at me for this because I was on my phone 24/7 checking YouTube Studio app like every 30 seconds, because it is like, oh my god, it is hella addicting.
100%.
It is very addicting, and especially for a person like me, it triggers something in my brain to this growth factor, and this just like, oh my god, it's growing, it's doing, it's like it's a continuous progress, kind of like an ARPG, I would say. This is kind of like what an ARPG is to me as well. It's always this, like, this is the next step, this is the next step, this is the next step, and you're progressing towards that. And yeah, that is 100% what happened to me a little bit.
I definitely can relate to that. I think another thing to add to that is the tangibility of like your metrics of success. So like, for instance, when you had, you know, your first anoint video kind of popping off a little bit, you could directly see on like a second to second basis, oh, like this is getting a lot of views, this is getting a lot of comments, this is getting me more subscribers and stuff like that. And there are very like few things that you can do that provide you with such an immediate like response in terms of like success or failure in some cases. And I think that like tangibility creates a sort of addictive nature. Like, oh, what's the next video going to be? Can I like beat my, you know, metrics from the previous video? How do I increase this progress from going on? And yeah, for yourself, I mean, moving onwards into your like future of your content. So you actually did find a lot of success, especially with your, you know, league starter build guides, your crafting videos, your farming strategies, and then obviously you had the GGG build feature on the Grinding Your Games channel as well. And so the Essence Drain Contagion build and the now Plants build have been, you know, they're in the thousands of views, they're in the thousands of shares on Mobalytics. I would love to hear you sort of walk us through maybe your initial thoughts about how you got to, you know, Essence Drain Contagion at the start and then Plants as well in 0.4.
I'm so glad I could diversify into not being just the EDC guy anymore. I'm so glad that it's also now the plans guy. I love that. I love that. I was so worried that my brand is just going to be Essence Drain Contagion, and now it seems to also be plans. I personally, I was not the only. First of all, I was not the only one, and I was definitely not the first one who did an ED Contagion build in PoE 2. I think I was just one of the people that took it the furthest, especially concerning that build, because I would say ED Contagion is definitely what most people would describe as the definite league starter type build, because it is a build that is extremely good on a low budget. It is extremely low barrier of entry. It is very, very good for new players. It is super lenient towards certain itemization choices because you just get the defensive layers out of the gate. You don't really need to worry about that stuff. The Lich just provides you with a flat out damage reduction from the start, and afterwards then you put on all the other stuff. So it's super, super simple. And at the same time, then most people always, with the Edict Contagion build, use that build just as a starting off point and then went into other builds. And I think I stayed with the build just the longest and found most of the stuff that wasn't maybe sometimes found. A lot of other people definitely found similar stuff that I found as well, because it is, especially at the time, it wasn't really that Path of Exile 2 was so deep when it comes to builds and build variety, that there was just like, oh my god, this is just genius here. There's a lot of parallel thinking going on due to the nature of the stuff being mostly very, very basic. So I just thought I committed the most to the build, I would say. And I actually went into it and tried to make a very simple but also very, very in-depth League Starter guide that just popped off a little bit on Mobalytics. And a lot of people, the feedback I've gotten on my stream was just mainly around the ED Contagion guide, and how especially newer players really, really like the guide because it was so in-depthly explained, or like very, very in-depth explained in the guide. But also I think a big part of why my guide was pretty popular at a certain point, or why it was received so well, was because in my guide, in the first line or in the top header for the guide, I always said, if you have any questions, if there's anything you need to know, just come into the stream, ask the question. I will explain it as best as I can. And since my stream at the time was still pretty small, and it still is at a size where I can still answer any question, and I really set out to actually do that every single time. When someone came into the stream, had a specific question about the ED Contagion guide, whether it was the 10th time, 20th time, or 50th time it was asked that day, I didn't really care, and I still don't care. I will answer the question, and I explain the concept, because I think due to the build being very new player friendly, I think it was always very important to me to realize that since it's a new player friendly build, there's got to be a lot of new players that are going to play the build. And sometimes it's like there's a very obvious question. It's very obvious to people that have played Path of Exile 2 a lot, but it's not going to be obvious to the person that is going to be there for the first time. So I think that's also a reason why it went pretty well. Simplicity, new player friendliness, but then also the ability to be able to min-max it to an absolute giga endgame build. That would be my 3 pillars of success for that build. And that same thing goes for the plant build. It's very similar there.
Absolutely. And it sort of answers one of the most important fundamental questions that any player is asking. Like, whenever you get somebody who's, new to the game in the stream, what are they going to ask? What is the best build to start this league with? Or what's the strongest build that I can, get into the game with? And so, something that, we've sort of discovered over, the last year is like, there's a lot of importance in answering that question. And so I think that also contributes very heavily to the success of like, your Essence Drain Contagion guide or your Plants guide. It's like, it is an amazing build. Like, let's be real here. Like, Essence Drain Contagion is incredible. Plants, I've tried it this league as well. So strong, and it feels so good. And so combine that with a very well executed guide and the importance of the question of what's the best build to start with, it just creates this beautiful sort of like combination of all the right factors to have things pop off in all the right ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because after the Essence Drain Contagion stuff, this league with the plant guide as well, it just went exactly in the same lane. I would say it just had the exact same points of success, I would say. And it's also just a little bit luck based, obviously, because sometimes as a content creator or as someone who's doing build guides or something, you take the risk a little bit. And I definitely took a big risk committing into plants this this league because most people said it's going to be kind of a meme and there's not much to go off of. You are crazy if your league starting plans. And it was definitely a big risk, and it kind of paid off massively, at least for me in like a content creator brain, but also in a way where I just had an extremely good build for both the campaign and then the end game. And yeah, it's also just very luck based. Sometimes you commit to something and you get lucky and it works out really well, and sometimes just you don't. And I've had multiple instances of that as well.
So when you chose to do plants, was there obviously there was a part of you that was like, ooh, like I don't know if this is a gamble essentially, and you know you're a gambling man, so obviously you don't have an issue with that. But it also is like it was the new content too, which is another factor to consider, right? Like a lot of people have already done Essence Trade and Contagion and don't feel like potentially playing that again for a second season. Was that sort of part of your consideration when like going for the gamble with plants?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Even though I think specializing into a specific lane as a build maker or as a build guide creator is not a bad thing. You can see with Pox, for example, it's like every single time anyone talks about Righteous Fire, it's gonna be down to Pox, and that is an amazing thing. But at the same time, I just thought that, especially with no changes to Essence Trade and Contagion, there was like, yeah, I need to branch out a little bit. I need to find new ways, and I just for sure just found something that is very, very similar in the archetype to Essence Trade and Contagion. So it wasn't really like a far throw off of what I did earlier before. I'm definitely a caster player, like 100%. I really enjoy caster archetypes. I'm not really a melee player, so I'm always going to be a little bit in that lane. So yeah, it just made sense.
Absolutely. And over the last year, we've seen a lot of additional content added to the game. You know, I've reminisced about this quite a bit on stream lately, where it's like we've been talking about, you know, how 0.1 felt and how we all sort of fell in love with the game in that particular state. And then now we've arrived at 0.4. We're over like a month in now. And it does feel like to some extent it is the same game, but very, very different. So I'm excited to see how that continues to develop. Over the last year, has there been like a change or a couple different things that have improved that have been like the standout to you has been like game changers that have made you enjoy the game even more?
I think we're just in general moving in a very, very positive direction. I think even though I think what most people's critique with the game, including mine a little bit, would be that I think we're not maybe moving fast enough a little bit. I think the moves that we have had with the game have been overly very, very positive. We've had like kind of a little bit of a really sharp downturn, or like a little bit of a tail or like a low point in the 0.2 update, I would say, a little bit, where a lot of people went really doomer, and I kind of enjoyed even like the 0.2 update. I kind of enjoyed. I was a little bit alone on the side of a little bit. I kind of enjoyed 0.2. Even though there was like a long downtime where it was super like quiet and died down pretty quickly. But if I just think about like going from 0.1 into 0.2 into 0.3 into 0.4, I just think there has been an overall improvement on basically everything. I know we're still waiting for the big end game update. We're still waiting for a lot of ascendancies, a lot of classes, a lot of everything surrounding, especially the end game loop. But I think, especially seeing the last two leagues, the 0.3 and the 0.4 league, I would honestly say in 0.3, I said, this is my favorite league. In 0.4 now, I once again said, this is my favorite league. And I couldn't even decide which one is better now, because in my opinion, 0.3 was an absolute home run, and 0.4 was, in my subjective opinion, also a home run, with some caveats when it comes to like how was the tempo stuff handled. But I don't think that should take away from like the player enjoyment, especially in this league. Because if you don't enjoy tempo, if you don't if the diffs dropping in tempo like crazy gets old to you like they did for me, you can just do other stuff. It didn't really do anything that like hindered my game enjoyment. So I Is there a specific thing though? Honestly, probably introductions like the Druid, and seeing the introduction of the Druid as something where you can truly see how ambitious GGG is when it comes to the classes and the ascendancies. Because I didn't expect the Druid to be this game changing with the talismans and with the shapeshifting being able to do on every single ascendancy and everything. And that just to me shows like very high ambition when it comes to class design and when it comes to ascendancy design on the game, which makes me very excited for coming stuff like Templar, like Shadow. I think we might be seeing stuff in the future in terms of classes and ascendancy where it's like, oh my god. And then they also dropped the Varashta last minute, and I think we're very spoiled already, and I think this bodes well for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's hard for me to put a finger on like some of my favorite changes that we've seen in the last year. One thing that stands out to me as being something that has been monumental is the weapon swap time removal. I think that
Yeah,
singular change in
that's a
0.3
good one.
has enabled so many fun builds. Because before that, obviously, like using the weapon set points was interesting, but it often felt really clunky. And so now it just feels like the way to approach build making from from a completely different standpoint now, where you're like thinking about, oh, like could this synergize? Could my quarterstaff synergize with the talisman? Could my crossbow synergize with the mace? Like, what skills am I thinking about? It kind of opened up this bigger picture in terms of build making, and I just love the feel of that. I just love that, and even
Yeah.
using the same weapon set or for weapons in both sets, right? Like it's just such a nice change now. Um, the second one is actually a really small one for me that happened this league, and it's just the Arbiter. And I know this is actually a hot take that some people don't like, but I really like the unlocking of rare tablets via Arbiter. For myself, I was never incentivized to do it, especially as a hardcore player. It was just too risky for not like the right reward. Now the reward is massive. Alching your tablets, it's funny. It's such a small change to the end game. But it's made such a big difference for me, like in terms of progression, right? Where like you get your character to a strong enough level, you take down Big RB, Big Daddy RB, and now you're juicing tablets. You're juicing tablets for your boys, you're juicing tablets for yourself. And like that just felt like a nice incentive to engage with a very difficult but very enjoyable boss fight. And so yeah, I think those two for me are like the standout things. There's probably more there, but those are the two that come to my mind immediately.
Yeah, at the same time, I think people have been having that discussion a lot. At the same time, I still think, especially with the tablet juicing now with Arbiter, I think that we need a new system for getting to the Arbiter, because I've still, like, as a streamer, as someone who is talking like all day to different people, it's still kind of crazy to me how some people say I've been doing like 300 maps or whatever. I don't know if those people are lying. I don't know, but I've had a lot of instances where people say like I've been doing 200 maps, I still haven't found the Citadel, and then someone says, "Oh, I found the Citadel in like the first hour of getting into
That's
T1
me.
maps because I found it immediately." I think yeah, and like I get it. I get it. Even though I kind of doubt sometimes that the discrepancy is that high. I still think we might need a system that is less RNG gated to actually get to the Arbiter. But yeah, I think that's a very good point. Having an incentive to do the Arbiter, obviously the incentive should be very high to do the like biggest boss in the game, right? And before it wasn't really, because they kind of nerfed the loot a little bit. So yeah, I am just hoping that we get more of that type of content. I've always, ever since we started the podcast and we've been talking about stuff about the game and everything, I have been lobbying for more endgame Uber boss content. I don't even need all of them to drop like the best stuff ever, but my biggest draw in PoE 1 always were Uber bosses, and doing like Uber Maven and having like these like Shaper everything, and having these like long fights, doing all the mechanics and everything. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on our podcast, but I don't know anyone in the comments or whatever remember Lost Ark when it initially came out. Those boss fights and were just peak, and I just personally I love that, and I really hope that we get more of that. I was super disappointed when we got to Atziri and it was just a pushover boss once again.
Yeah.
And it's I personally I just really like actual boss fights, and I really hope, and I think PoE 2 could be amazing at that, because you get to Atziri in this patch. Best example, you get to Atziri, you have like the best intro of all time. She's like talking, and then she goes into the thing, and we look away. And but you have this boss room, like everything, the corrupted atmosphere, like everything. The boss room is just so perfectly designed. And
Yeah.
once again, like huge shout out to anyone, like people in the people that work for GGG in the design department are just absolute like geniuses. Everything is just designed to perfect. The sound design is perfect. We have epic music and whatever. And then the boss fight is just like, oh, she's gone. And that's not just softcore trade league, guys. I just did an HCSSF run on a build that wasn't really that good, and it wasn't that high damage, and Atziri also died in like 15 seconds. So it's not just the softcore trade league Andy argument here. I just want more exciting boss fights like that, because the game has so much potential when it comes to that, because there has never been an ARPG as beautiful and as well designed as this one. And for me, that just lends itself to boss fights.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that the Arbiter of Ash fight specifically is probably my favorite boss fight, and while also being, it's weird, it's like my favorite but also my least favorite. And what I mean by that is like I really enjoy the feeling of fighting him, because there is this absolute state of locked inness that you have to be in. That kind of reminds me of how the entire game felt in 0.1, where you had to kind of be like dialed, right, in order to not get fucked up. The one thing I hate about it is kind of what we talked about earlier, the RNG gated attempt at it. And this is something that I hope they fix in 0.5 as well, because personally for me, and I don't know how your experiences have been, but in 0.1, I did not see a single Citadel. I like did so many maps, and like they were just like this mythical thing in the game. I was like, surely I'll see one eventually, and just never did. Now that they've changed it, I see Citadels like very frequently. Like I go down maybe up to 50 maps, like maximum, and they're just everywhere. It's like a Citadel neighborhood. I've gone into like the High Roller neighborhood, and now there's just Citadels everywhere. But I've heard from people that like they get to like level 95 and they don't see a single Citadel, and so that's a huge issue, especially with like how good it is to juice your own tablets. And so yeah, really looking forward to seeing how they address that. I don't think it would be an issue to give like a guaranteed stab at Citadels and Arbiter for like your first Atlas experience.
Yeah, I say this all the time on my stream and on the podcast. We're always very good as players and as streamers, and especially as like content creators who constantly yap about this game and act like we know anything. We're always very good at identifying problems. But I personally, I'm super happy to leave the problem solving part to GGG, because they have been proven time and time again over the last 15 12 years that they are more than capable to solve the problems that we as the players identify all the time. So in that case, I don't even know how you would do it. I probably, honestly, I didn't really have the experience as well of not finding any Citadels, but I don't really think I am the one to judge as well, because I play this game 10 hours a day, and that would be a real problem if I wasn't able to find Citadels. But yeah, like I said, I've heard it time and time again that people say, "Oh, I can't seem to find. I think my Atlas is bugged or whatever." So yeah, maybe there's probably a better system out there a little bit. Maybe having, like you said, having one freebie basically, because you still need to kill him. It's not like you're gonna go into T1 maps. And just because you have that free first Arbiter attempt or whatever, that you're just going to be able to kill him anyway. So, yeah. Also, in the same vein, I think, personally for me, I think the boss fights in general could also just be a little bit harder. I think that's not a bad thing, because that is the best, that is the highest echelon of bosses that we have right now. And some of them, like I already said, are becoming sometimes, or a lot of the times a little bit of pushovers, which I just don't like, because those are so amazing and they could be a little bit more exciting sometimes. And I think the damage, they did do the damage reduction tech now that we have in PoE 1, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that, because it kind of just feels like a cop out a little bit, in terms of like, oh yeah, we want people to spend more time on a boss fight, and I think that just flat out damage reduction just does nothing to me. Why not just say then, okay, we're just, instead of damage reduction, the boss fight is just going to be a little bit, or the boss is just going to be a little bit more beefy overall. So we actually get to see the mechanics, and it's not like, oh, okay, now I have to wait 4 seconds before I one-shot the boss.
I know. It felt very much like a Band-Aid fix, because now I can't kill the boss in 10 seconds. I have to wait at 4 seconds, and now I can kill the boss in 14 seconds instead. It kind of just feels like the greater problem with the bosses is just, yeah, I guess like the difficulty, and it's not even the health that necessarily matters. I know what you mean. We're very good at talking about issues and problems, especially with all the hours that we spend playing in the game. I do think that it's important to provide solutions when possible, just because it's fun to come up with like different things that could potentially work. Like, for instance, having some sort of like predetermined arbiter fight with the Citadel spawning within like a certain radius of your initial atlas, like I think would just add like, a nice like quality of life for people to obtain that, that power, that juicing tablet power, and also just give people the chance to fight him, because like he is just like such a badass fight. So there's definitely solutions there. Absolutely. They probably will work into 0.5. I don't think that's copium. They're very aware of this.
No, I think so too. I think the 0.5 and all the endgame stuff that they've pushed into 0.5, I think it's gonna be very, very massive in terms of what might actually change and everything. So especially since they pushed a lot of stuff into 0.5. I think they already did a lot of stuff probably for 0.4, but decided, yeah, we're just gonna do it very big in the next one. So yeah, I'm expecting a lot. I have my expectations for 0.5 very high, and I don't think that is undeserved in that regard. So
me too, especially with the push to the push from 0.4. Obviously was supposed to be a lot of end game reworks and stuff like that. I think that has just resulted in our expectations being high, and which is fine. We'll get into those expectations because I'm definitely curious to hear your thoughts about all of that. Before we move on to any more of that stuff, I just wanted to hear just some like highlights from this last year from you, as we're sort of reminiscing about our last year as like content creators and being part of the Path of Exile community. Has there been any moments for you that has stood out, has been like, damn, like this is an absolute highlight over the last year?
Honestly, the obvious ones would most likely be, like, the most obvious ones would be the GGG feature on the build. That was probably, or that was definitely something where I just woke up in the morning, looked at my phone, and went like, "Oh damn, crazy! Someone featured my build. Oh damn, it's GGG." So that was a big push. That was definitely something that was really, really exciting to me. Getting that recognition from people, like, in the end you respect a lot, and this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, is because they are making this amazing game and everything, and getting some sort of recognition is always like something that feels really good. And the second highlight goes into the same vein there. Yeah, being invited to ExileCon, it's like almost 7 days ago now that I got the email, is probably one of the most exciting days I've had in like overall my last 10 years. Like, to be honest, it's just amazing. I would, like, overall, I would probably also just say though that as someone who has been not a streamer for a long time, and as someone who had the opportunity to build up something very, very fresh and new, and kind of being able to build up something without, like, I'm not sure if preconceived notions is the right word, or with like previous baggage, I would say, because a lot of content creators that come into PoE 2 have like a big community of PoE 1 players, and the community or the viewers have like a certain expectation of them, how they would like to them to like the game, or what they have to say about the game or whatever. And as someone who just started with PoE 2 and having a lot of viewers and people in my stream and like a community without those preconceived things and without those previously attained baggage or whatever you want to call it, it was just super nice to build up such a like positive community, because I feel like my stream, or like in general my community within my Discord and everything, we've just like such a it's so positive all the time, and it's not like this just straight up just positive all the time, and not just like, oh yeah, everything is great. It's not meant like that, but everything is just viewed through such a lens without any cynicism, kind of. And that has just been very refreshing to me, because in the past in my life I've always been like a very cynical person, and I always tended to be a little bit more negative when it comes to a lot of stuff, like in general in life. I was very jaded for a long time, and this has been like such a, also for me, like personally, such a positive vibe, and everything just reflects how I feel about myself in the game at the moment. I know this is like, I know people are probably now saying like, oh, come on, shut up, this is a video game. It has been just like such a positive thing, and I feel like I've been getting so much positivity back from so many people in my chat every day, and that has been the highlight for me. Like everyone that is in my chat all day, every single time I come online, there's like a few of the same people every day, and it's just like it's so nice. It's so nice. I would say that has been my highlight. Like I love starting up my stream every day and having the people in there.
Absolutely. It's hard for me to imagine this, you being super negative and jaded and cynical, because as long as I've known you, so like over the last year or so, you've been that sort of like, yeah, just like super personable, very just enjoyable to interact with, and as you mentioned, like positive person. And I think that like that, you know, I guess like mantra that you have, or the way that you kind of interact with your community, has like attracted that same like energy to your community, your stream, and stuff like that. And without getting too cheesy, I just feel like the way that we sort of go about these things like attracts that same sort of vibe. You know what I mean? And so like I think how great your like stream is and like community is just a reflection of like how like good you've been doing. And yeah, I just can't imagine you being like a cynical dude who's negative, because yeah, that's just not the not the vibe that we all get from you. And I think that that's like a direct contribution to the awesome community you've been fostering, for sure.
Oh, I can still imagine. It was just a lot has changed. I mean, it's always definitely a little bit a thing of where you are when you're doing something that you obviously enjoy, and when it's something that I always like when I'm streaming or when I'm doing content, I'm always I want to be relatable, I want to be honest, and I just want to be positive as well. Because I do remember when I was like down on myself a lot, and I was just like hanging around, or I didn't know what to do with myself. I was watching a lot of streams, for example, and I personally always gravitated towards streams that enhanced or like echo chambered this whole negative feeling that I already had. And then it was like, it was super easy to be like in a stream where it's like, oh, this sucks, and this sucks, and this sucks. Fuck this. And you viewer, you're all so stupid. And oh my God, the stream is stupid. And ha, like that. And it has just from the not viewer perspective, but from the streamer perspective, it has just been such a positive thing to notice that a lot of people don't want that, and a lot of people want like a positive thing. And I've had the feedback a lot in my stream that people say that they stuck around because it was not that, especially in times where on PoE 2 and with all the PoE 1 and PoE 2 drama, where there was a lot of negativity and a lot of shit flying around of people being so incredibly doomer and negative all the time. A lot of people, I think, at least that was the feedback I got in my stream, that they said I stuck around in your stream because this was like you didn't really engage in that, because I always like, yeah, okay, who thinks that? Oh, okay. I mean, have your opinion, that's fine. We're just gonna blast, we're gonna have fun, we listen to good music, and then we just go. And I think that is, if so, like I would enjoy that much more today than the whole negative feedback loop and everything. It's just it's toxic. It's toxic, and internet culture can be very toxic in that regard, and it just like extrapolates and amplifies those effects a lot. And I don't know. I don't think I'm like a better person like anyone else. I do think it has just happened to me on a whim. I didn't really seek it out, but it feels good to break out of that cycle a little bit. I know this is like super super. I know we're talking about a video game, but it's just like as soon as something is like a big part of your life, and for a lot of people, watching streams and playing a video game is a big part of their life after work or after like family stuff or whatever. And if something that is a big part of your life just has like this toxic negativity and like cynical feeling to it, I think it's not a good thing. I think that is it's not good.
I think that's the beauty of kind of Twitch and like the greater like I guess communities that you can find within video games and stuff like that, is that like you can always find a place for you wherever your vibe is at. So like, there's nothing wrong with enjoying being part of a community that's completely different from something else. It's just like you find where you fit in and what you like and the music that you enjoy listening to and the people you enjoy chatting with. And that's where you spend your time. And I think that like, it's interesting because I've come from the same as you, where I was a very much a Twitch viewer before being obviously a Twitch streamer as well. And yeah, you just find yourself gravitating to certain streams for a bunch of combinations of things, like the vibe, the music, the streamer themselves, how much they interact with chat and stuff like that. And so I think when I started doing this, I sort of thought about like, what do I really enjoy about the streams that I hang out in, and how do I bring that enjoyment to other people? And that wasn't through drama farming or negativity and shit like that. That's just not really me as a person either. So, like that's kind of always been like my guiding star to it, was like trying to create a space for people that I've enjoyed in other spaces as well.
Yeah. It's one of the most positive things for me, thinking about what I'm doing right now, even though in the end it's just playing video games on stream and yapping a lot. If I really think about it, one of the most positive things for me is just thinking about that someone tunes into the stream, or it's like a daily thing that they tune into, or even if it's not a daily thing, but every once in a while they tune in, they have the stream running on the side, and it's just like there's something to laugh about, or there's something like it chills them down a little bit, or they that is probably, if you ask about the highlight, that's probably my highlight. That is still crazy to me. As someone who hasn't even been streaming for a year, that is still crazy to me that someone decides to spend their time, their well-earned free time, or while it's working from home or whatever, to spend in my stream and just have it on the side, and that being a positive thing for them. That is still crazy to me that is a thing. Because I can't imagine, because I don't feel like I'm doing anything special. So, and it's just crazy. But at the same time, it's so cool and so positive. I think about that a lot, actually.
Absolutely. No, I completely know what you mean. And yeah, so shout out to the community just as a whole. Like, appreciate you guys like supporting not only us, but the rest of the, people that you enjoy spending time with us. Like, it means a lot, especially over the last year. It's been a crazy ride, and, we're looking forward to more excellent times. Speaking of excellent times, ExileCon, November. Holy shit, dude. So break it down for me. You got invited, you got the email, the absolute like highest honor that you could receive this year. Tell me, what was going through your mind as soon as you got that email a couple weeks or a week ago, I guess now?
First thing I thought was someone is trolling me. That was my first thought. I was like, I saw the email. It was like xx@grindinggear.com, and I was like, wait, this cannot be the right email. This is wrong. This is completely wrong. There's no way someone is trolling me. I Googled the email. I went to grindinggear.com and found it is actually the website of Grinding Gear Games, but it like the career website and everything. I was like, no, this can't be wrong. Someone like hacked into GGG and decided to troll this German guy at 2:30 in the morning. Well, because he's waking up at night 4 times a day and checks his phone sometimes and looks at that. That was my first thought. My second thought was, what? Why is this happening? And then yeah, it kind of just dawned on me because then I just messaged our podcast group, because Kaltoek and Miso and we have a podcast group, like a Discord channel, and they also said they got the same email. And I don't know, it took like a few hours definitely to realize what was happening. And yeah, and then from then onwards, it was just straight up excitement. I don't know. I always said like I would like to go to ExileCon once it happens, and I was always trying to figure out, oh yeah, okay, financially how could we do it, because obviously from Europe it's like a 30-hour, it's 2 flights and it's like 30 hours, it's like 4,000 euros or something for a flight, and that is that would have not been possible for me to do, especially not with 2 people if we're going. That would have not been possible, so it's crazy, and it's just a huge honor. Like I said in the beginning, I'm suffering a little bit from imposter syndrome, because it's like, why me? Why me? What have I done to deserve this? And no, I'm just incredibly excited. I am so excited to meet some of the people, because we live in a space where it's just like we all know each other. Like I've known you for a good time now, and I would consider us like very good friends at this point. But we've never actually seen each other, and we've never actually shared a beer with each other or anything. And it's just like I'm so incredibly excited to meet some of the people, like for real, and just say like, hello, this is you, and like meet other people. It's amazing. And at the same time, I'm just excited for ExileCon. Like, what is happening on ExileCon? What are they planning?
Yeah.
What are they planning? What are we going to do? Am I gonna can we maybe get like a little bit of a segment where I get to play a little bit of what they have in store for us? Because that is what happened in previous ExileCons. It's just pure on absolute excitement. And also it's New Zealand. As someone whose wedding ring is the one ring from the Lord of the Rings, I can tell you, I am as much of a nerd of Lord of the Rings as I am for ARPGs. So is there a better place to go? I don't think so. I'm gonna go to the Shire. I'm gonna go to Weta workshops if I can. I'm gonna go to Mordor. I'm gonna everything. I don't, it's just crazy. I'm so beyond excited. You can't even imagine.
I can see that, and I'm excited for you, and I'm also excited to be there. I'm gonna try my best to be able to share a beer with not only you but the rest of the homies. And yeah, dude, I can definitely understand dude. That would be such a nasty troll if that was actually someone trolling you at 2:30 in the morning. Like that is some insidious shit. I'm glad that wasn't the case. Yeah, and I'm super excited for you. Congratulations on that. So let's put on our tinfoil hats for a moment. So, clearly they don't.
I just have an Atsiri helm.
Let's put on our tinfoil hats.
Does that work? Okay.
Sure. As long as you're able to speak after this. So normally they do ExileCon for massive releases. I guess the last one they did was in 2023, and that was sort of like the hype leading up to like obviously Path of Exile 2 and it being its own separate game and whatnot, and showing off that. What are you thinking that they're going to be showcasing in this year's ExileCon? Is it going to be Path of Exile Mobile, perhaps? Is it going to be Path of Exile 3? What are you thinking right now?
Log out.
What, you guys don't have phones?
What did this guy just say?
You guys don't have phones? What do you mean? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
PoE Vanilla? PoE Classic? Maybe
PoE Classic?
You think you do? You think you do, but you don't?
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be 1.0, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hope so.
It's just gotta be 1.0.
It feels like it has to be.
Else, right?
It feels like it has to be, but right now, so if we break down the timeline, we're in 0.4, 0.5 is coming out in April, and then 0.6 and then 1.0? Like that's how it's going to go? Like it just seems like surely they're going to announce 1.0, but it feels like at the same time we're a long ways off in terms of like where we're actually at in terms of the patches. So I know that they've spoken about like them like releasing 1.0 without all the classes and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm just trying to connect the dots right now. And as much as I'm excited that they are potentially going to announce this, I'm like, damn, like, you know, it's happening soon, I
I mean,
guess.
I mean, I mean, we are wearing tinfoil hats right now, right? So
Yes.
I'm allowed to say this. I think it's gonna be this December release this
Yeah.
year. I think so. Just like my tinfoil hat, I think it's gonna be December. That's 2 years into early access, and it's a December release, which I don't think I need to tell anyone how big developers and especially the people behind the developers that wave around with the wads of money like December releases, especially for games like this,
Yeah.
especially for games like MMOs, especially games like ARPGs. How much the executives and all the people around that really like December releases, because if something releases around Christmas, that's always the best month to do it. I think that might be that is probably my tinfoil hat then, that they announce on ExileCon 7th, 8th November, that they announce that PoE 1.0 is coming next month.
Yeah. No, I want to believe it. And here's the thing, dude. When this all started in 2024, PoE 2 was technically supposed to be done by 2025, right? And so, an extra year of push, I think, is enough time for them to get the game in a good state. What I will say is that it puts a lot of pressure on zero point 0.5, and I think they know this because that is going to be, I guess, like for all intents and purposes, the end game that we get into the 1.0 release. Like, surely there'll be more things added to it over time, but this rework kind of like the success of the end game kind of hinges on this zero point 0.5 rework. And it is a little exciting and it is a little scary because like they know that it's got to be a banger, man. It's got to be a banger.
I think also, I
Hmm.
said this before, I think people are over exaggerating a little bit what 1.0 would mean.
Hmm.
It's not like the game at 1.0, when they announce 1.0 and this is the 1.0 update, then nothing can happen to the game again. I think the game already is kind of being treated like a full release game. So honestly, I don't think there is too much around the whole 1.0 thing. I think it's just gonna be another like leak, and it just means like early access is over, the game moves into free to play. I don't think that is too much of like of a change to PoE where it's like, okay, this changes everything. I don't think it does. I don't think it does. It's just gonna be uh basically, it's just going to be another league. It's just going to be probably one of the bigger leagues when it comes to changes and what they seem to be the game needs to look like in the future. I think people are over exaggerating a little bit what 1.0 means, because we're already kind of in a game where every league and every update is kind of them treating the game as kind of a little bit of a full release game already. This doesn't, and this has been a talking point a lot of the times anyway. When it comes to early access games, this is, I think, if you gave this game to someone who has no idea about anything, and you just give that person the game to play, and you tell them, is this a full release game or is this an early access game? I think most people would actually say, no, this is just a game. This is just a game that is out. You can download it on Steam, and in a few months there's going to be the new update to the game. I think the whole debate around like early access and what is 0.1, 0.6, 6.9, I don't care. It's just like, it's just a number, and the game is what it is. I don't know if that's like a stupid take or whatever, but like that's it. That's it. I don't care what the number is.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And I've said this from the beginning. Like, I think that, I think we both can agree that in terms of like early access game standards, like PoE 2, for me anyway, has been the best early access game I've ever played. Like, it makes most other early access games look bad by comparison.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right about how far off we are. Like, for me, what I envision like 1.0 being is like the campaign's done, so 2 more acts. We don't know how much progress has been made on Act 6 and Act 7, or sorry, Act 5 and Act 6. And so, yeah, like they could be basically done those already. We don't know. Like we could be seeing Act 5 in like, maybe not next patch, but the patch after. And then Act 6 gets released with like 1.0. In terms of like the classes, maybe 2 more classes get put into the game. I think we're missing 4 right now. And then 2 come out like 1.1, 1.2 or something like that. Like if you put it like that and like that's the full game or like the full release, it doesn't seem that far off. Like in terms of like how much more of the puzzle we're actually missing from the full game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it hinges on 0.5. And I think you alluded to this as well a little bit in like your previous statement or the statement before that. It all hinges a little bit on 0.5. If 0.5 is just gangbusters and they've just found everything that we needed in terms of endgame loop and they've found a lot of solutions to the problems that players have been voicing when it comes to the endgame loop, I think it's all going to hinge on that. I think once we go into 0.5 and 4 weeks into 0.5, we realize, yeah, damn, this is just the next step in the game moving into that direction that I said earlier as well, where I think the game is moving into the right direction with every update. I think that is going to be like the point of contention, kind of like 0.5. I think is the North Star a little bit for the game's future. So,
dude, I'm so excited.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like
don't let them hear this. Don't let them hear this. We're no pressure, GGG. No pressure. It's all fine. You just have to make the perfect update, and no one there's not a single content creator that will get mad.
I think they understand this absolutely, because like for instance, if I was making you a painting, you commissioned me for a painting or whatever, and I said, Rabbit, I'll have it done, next week. And then it comes in next week and you're like, yo, Blaze, where's my painting at? I'm so stoked to see this painting. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's not ready yet. I need another 4 months to cook this painting. Your mind immediately goes to, this painting is going to be fucking sick when it's done, because this guy needs another 4 months to finish this. Right. And so, they brought this upon themselves with like the pushing of it. And so I think it inevitably makes, I guess, the pressure or the excitement or both kind of just like a byproduct of that, especially with us being more like endgame enjoyers, especially, and how just important an endgame is for an ARPG in general. Like it is a very pivotal patch, but I'm super optimistic. We know that GGG can cook, like absolutely, no doubt about that. Bro, I want to move on to some hardcore shit, because I've been super excited to see your journey through hardcore. You've been playing HCSSF prior to Timmy's League, and then you hopped into Timmy's League over the last few weeks. And I just wanted to ask you, first and foremost, like, how has your experience been on the hardcore side of things last couple weeks?
It's been amazing. I'm not sure if I talked about with who I talked about this before, but I've always been one of those people that said when it came to like anything hardcore related, I was always of the opinion like, oh, this is when your character dies, it's just time that you've wasted. Like you spend 40 hours on this character and then it dies, and then you've wasted that time. And that is basically what the straw that broke the camel's back when I realized that wasn't the case. And it is just, you basically just elongate your I earlier in the podcast I talked about what makes me so addicted to stuff, and that is the feeling of progression. And ARPGs have always just provided that the most for me in any game. And just like MMOs, for example, it's the same thing, where you also just progress your character and then go into like more difficult raids, and then you progress more, and then you progress more. And going into hardcore, and especially hardcore SSF, has just been such a blessing, because this whole progressing part is just elongated so much, because every single item is a progress, every single like step towards a certain goal is like another part of the progress, and you're never really done as well. And that has just I can just tell anyone that gets like bored of softcore trade league pretty fast into a league, that is the answer. Try out hardcore, try out SSF, because it just makes it feel so much different. And also the whole part about playing the campaign completely different, that you actually go into every part of the campaign and every boss fight with the thought in your brain, okay, I need to be ready for this boss, and not just like you're rushing through. And there's been so many things that I've discovered in my campaign play that I have never noticed before in the softcore trade experience, because every single league start, obviously you just want to go as fast as possible, and you just skip everything and go as fast as possible into the end game. And yeah, apparently there's a bolt in Act 4 that kills you when you go on there. So I never knew. Now I know. And now everyone makes fun of me and calls me the captain and whatever. So there you go.
If we walk away from one thing from Rabbit playing hardcore, it's at least we have a beautiful death clip from your first death. Oh, dude, I woke up that morning and I saw that and I was like, ain't no way this happened. But it did. And now it lives on for eternity. But yeah,
people are still coming into my stream. Sorry, people are still coming into my stream every single day and just drop one sentence. Oh, a withered wand.
Yeah, it's a classic. I need to add that as a sound redeem for my stream. Actually, that's so good. But yeah, dude, no, it's. I'm so happy that you've discovered this, especially because you're so passionate and enjoy just playing the game as much as possible. It just allows you to do that more. And now you have the opportunity to not only enjoy yourself for however many weeks playing softcore trade, but as soon as that dies down, you can just reset, rip it on hardcore, SSF, or both, and that's another like month of gaming if you want to. And then Timmy's League comes around, and you can start there. It's just like that's been sort of my main attraction to hardcore. It's not like the risk or the progression. I mean, those are all fun things that are part of it, but I just like playing the game, and it allows me to just play the game more, which is it's a blessing and a curse, because I wouldn't recommend it to people who don't have a lot of time. I mean, sure, try it out if you don't have a lot of time and you still want to be, super engaged and have a slower progression, more meaningful progression. It's great for that. But it does require a lot of time from you. It asks a lot from you. And so you just have to be wary of that for new players to try SSF or HC. But man, if you got like a week and that you want to just play the game, like it is the best. And so yeah, you've been exposed to the HC community, which myself and many others are a part of, and you've kind of discovered this whole like close knit group. What have been your thoughts, especially after playing THC, about like the HC side of things and the people playing HC?
I said this before in my stream. I think the whole experience around the Timmy League or the THC League has been probably one of the or probably the most positive experience I've had in PoE2 when it comes to like the community aspect, because that is what you lose a little bit when you just when you play PoE2. There's not really, obviously it's kind of like a single player game. You do compare yourself to others a lot. It's a game where it's basically a single player game where you compare yourself to others all the time, and that is like why the FOMO exists, and why everyone's always like, what's the best build? What is this? Can I copy this build? What is this? Is this better than Popgun's build? But yeah, Gazi is playing this build and he's saying this is the best. And it's like, it's all of that. And especially like the hardcore private league that we've played for the last 2 weeks now has been such a breath of fresh air, because it actually feels like an old ARPG vibe to me.
Yes.
Most of the trades that I've done so far was like, oh fuck, I need an Omen of Light. I have like Kogol's Leash or something. Does someone need Kogol's Leash that maybe has an Omen of Light? And we traded that. It reminded me a little bit about a game that I used to play called Diablo 2, where the way you trade it, at least me personally, I was in Diablo 2, I was never a D2 JSP person. I never did like any third-party trading in Diablo 2. I never did like JSP or whatever. I always in Diablo 2 traded the way of you make a game, you type O pool and then N Shaco or whatever, like offer to pool, need Shaco or whatever, and it's just like that has given me kind of the same feeling there, and it was just such a positive experience. Because also, what is amazing in hardcore is always, of course, everyone is just like such a community, because there's always a ladder, and then people die, and everyone in chat reacts to it, and you just don't have that in the normal league. So I think my stream also exposed a lot of people in my community to hardcore, and especially like the hardcore community aspect of it. And I can only say again, like every single person that wants to try this out at some point again, Timmy League is still going. People are still active in it, and next time as well, it's going to be amazing. If I would be a much larger streamer, where I didn't really have to worry about making YouTube content and mobalytics content to also make some money in the end, if I'm being real, I would be very close right now to just be a hardcore streamer, to just play PoE 2 hardcore and just have that as my stream. But as it stands right now, I wouldn't even say unfortunately, obviously not unfortunately, but I still rely a lot on making league starter builds for the big softcore trade league every single time, because it's just I live off of mobalytics, and I live off of my YouTube videos and everything like that. If that wasn't the case, and my stream was as big that I could just stream what I wanted every single day, and still was able to live off, I would probably play hardcore all day.
He's been converted, boys. That's crazy.
Yes.
He loves it. Yeah, no, dude. I've been.
Didn't take much.
No, dude. It's the hardest part is getting over, kind of the stuff that you said at the beginning, where you're in your mind, you have this preconceived notion of like, this is a waste of time. Like, there's a lot of these things that, I've hear through my own community and through my own stream, like, oh, I'd play hardcore, but, my computer's dog shit, what X, Y, and Z. And those are all totally valid reasons to not play hardcore. Like, at the end of the day, as I said, it is more of a time investment. But if you can get past that and just try it out, like, I think more often than not, you'll be like, oh, there's something special about the way to play this. You know what I mean? And so it's super cool to hear that you kind of got past that, found love for the community for it. And you're absolutely right. I remember you bringing up this in your previous podcast with Major Aimless. The way that trading happens in Timmy's League is so nostalgic. It throws me back to like classic WoW, where like if you need something, you're just like in global chat, like, want to buy whatever item or want to sell whatever item. And then you don't really like care about like if the trade you're making. I mean, surely like some people do, but for me anyway, it's like, I don't really care if I'm giving away a perfect jeweler's orb for something that I need that's not even close to the value of it.
Exactly.
It's just, I'm helping them out with something that I have, and they're helping me out with something that they have. And that's the trading that I love. And so it, for me, especially because I play SSF like 99% of the time, being able to do that has been such an enjoyable experience for me. Reconnecting with trade in a way that's not like, what's your div per hour and how much are you like pulling from every temple, and more of like a, what value can I help out with other people in the community to help them not to die and have their name pop up. You know what I mean? So it's just been like a very awesome vibe. And yeah, THC is just a special part of every league that I look forward to and have since like 0.2 for sure.
And it's just also it teaches you so many things about the game as well, because everything you do has purpose a little bit. Because for example, in the THC League now, I haven't really been like focusing on Temple a lot, because I'm not really gunning for Exalt Orbs. I'm not really gunning for Divines or whatever. Mostly what I've needed to self-craft my gear and everything was Ritual Omens and like Abyss. And then once I was done with that and I had some stuff, and then I looked at my gear and I was like, oh shit, both of my rings are not catalyzed and my amulet needs an anoint. So then I started doing Delirium to get like some emotions for the anoint. And then I started doing Breach to get catalysts for the rings. And then I saw that I needed essences in order to base craft at the start, or to even do expedition craft at the start. And you just experience the game, especially this is probably more of an SSF thing than a hardcore thing. You just experience the game in more of a way where it actually teaches you all of the games. I had a person in my chat, shout out to Cypher in my chat, who has been hooking me up a little bit, because he's been saying like he's playing HCSSF every single league, and like day 2 in, he was self-crafting like the most crazy shit and whatever, not really even like he wasn't even doing magic. And this just showed me, damn, it's just like and this is stuff I will also take over into Trade League now, because it just has like shown me so many more things that I really haven't engaged in, because as a super sweat like I am when it comes to softcore Trade League, it's just like you skip all of that, you skip to get to the highest point possible to get into T15 maps, and then just blast and get like the raw divines, because then the raw divines is like I'm buying a new item and whatever. And this has like shown me so much, which I'm super happy about, that I actually wanted to do it now. So yeah, perfect time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it absolutely makes you a better player. The way
Yes.
that you engage with all of the systems showcases actually how like thought out it is right now in like 0.4, the state of the game
Yeah.
in terms of like the entire ecosystem of content and how each thing has its own specific purpose. And I get this question all the time, Blaze, like, how do I learn how to craft? And I'll say, well, there's videos that you can play or watch. But like, if you really want to learn how to craft, go play SSF. Like SSF will
Yeah.
teach you every step of the way, as you mentioned, from like recombinating your bases to essencing to desecration and omens from ritual. Like all of these things have their own place in the craft, and like there's no better training than doing it all yourself and being forced to have to do that in SSF. It's just I don't know. I'm so in love with that, and it truly feels like for me the way the game is meant to be played. Although I'm sure, like for many people, it's a lot of work. Like it's a lot of time. You have to do a lot of grinding to get all the shit to make one item, and not many people have all that time to spend. So I understand the allure, and I also understand why people don't do it as well.
Yeah, because it's so much easier when you're playing Trade League. You just do whatever you do,
Yeah,
and whatever you get, you just turn into the trading currency, and then you have the trading. This is basically what Civilization was built on.
yeah.
We do shit. We do shit. Blaze is a good baker. He bakes some bread, but he eats 2 bread. He has 5 more bread. He sells the bread to buy clothes from the guy who makes clothes.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? This is
Yeah.
what I think this is what Civilization was built on. So it's so easy in Trade League to not remember all of this stuff, because it's like whatever you do, you just put it into the currency exchange, you get the basic currency, and then whatever you get. But it has, like I said, I'm harping on it too much, but it's just like it teaches you all of the stuff, and you have so much shit that you don't use and just rots in your inventory because you're just not engaging in it, because you feel like it is too much work. And I even think for people that don't have the time, I think it is still a great thing, because the value of the teaching still remains, basically, whether you have 12 hours to spend or an hour, because yeah, the person that has 1 hour is also going to be like, oh damn, I have this body armor, and how do I have a body armor with T1 energy shield and T1 spirit now, a blue body, or no, that's not possible. T1 spirit and like a T1 res, a blue one. Okay, if I can't just buy a body armor that is better like this, what do I need to do now? And then it's like, oh yeah, essence. Okay, and then I need to slam an essence. Okay, then I want a desecration on there. What do I desecrate prefix? Okay, then I need that. It's just it's so perfect. It is amazing.
I
I mean, I
love.
knew all of this. I feel like I knew all of this, but I didn't really engage in it because I'm like such a sweat that it's just like I town is lava. That was always my mantra when it came to games like this. I spent as the least amount of time that I could on not playing the game, in order to play the game and just blast and just get everything in. But the value of it is just very, very high now for me.
Yes, dude, I love your analogy so much about, and without getting too deep, it's like softcore trade is like modern day society where everybody is like hyper niche specific in terms of like their knowledge and what they bring to the table. Like, you know, you said in your example, like, I'm a baker. All I know is how to make the best bread possible. And through that bread, I will clothe myself, house myself, and have a family. And like, and then SSF is like back to like hunter gatherer, where like I had to be able to hunt, make clothes, make a shelter, like do all of the shit in order to survive. That's a perfect way to describe it, dude. I love that so much. Oh god. Okay, so after the boat incident in Act 4, as a learning experience. I just wanted to like generally ask you after the last 2 weeks, has there been anything else that stuck out to you as been like really big things that you've learned? I know you talked about like the general, um, like all of the, the whole ecosystem, but what are some other things that maybe have stuck out to you and been like, damn, like this is an important thing I'm taking away from this experience?
First thing I'm taking away is probably how incredibly, and don't let anyone hear this in the nerf department because it's my favorite ascendancy. Don't ever take it away from me, please. How incredibly busted Lich is. It is insane. Lich is amazing. Energy Shield is way too way too good. We have Anthony in chat right now. He's gonna be super happy about me saying that and admitting how incredibly good Energy Shield is, especially with the Lich Ascendancy, and how good Plants is actually on Lich. Because what I've learned during my hardcore run was I saw Sarge, big shout out to Sarge, who was actually the first person, I think, this league to reach level 100 in hardcore SSF, at least on PoE Ninja.
He died
He
at level
went
99, and then his friend hit level 100 and named his character after him. That's the lore,
Ah,
bro. That's the
okay, so
lore.
it isn't Sarge.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's his
then
boy. That's his boy. Yeah.
okay, then shout out to Sarge's boy because I saw that he was doing Abyssal Lich plans, and I was like, wait, why is he doing Abyssal Lich? Is that just style points? And then I realized, oh shit, the Rupture the Soul Ascendancy node turns into physical damage on that, and then it turns into like something that was very negative on ED Contagion. When you took Rupture the Soul, it was very bad because when the mobs exploded, the contagion didn't spread. But on plants, you just get basically a detonate dead before the mobs are even dead, and everything around them just explode. And it also scales with area of effect and everything. Yeah, that was basically definitely the best, the biggest takeaway. Other than that, in my hardcore experience, honestly, I think probably also the biggest takeaway was um, obviously how important in general defensive layers are, not only to your like enjoyment in hardcore, but also I would also say that this is also very important to softcore. I was always, and I think without sounding too arrogant here, but I think a big reason why I why I was doing quite well, I think, in hardcore now was because I always played softcore the same way as well. I absolutely despise glass cannon characters. Like anything that is even in softcore trade is about to be one shot every single map by just a breeze, like a breeze. I always hated that, so I always put a very big emphasis on defensive layers also in softcore trade, and also I would say that there's still a lot of work to do when it comes to variety in terms of defensive layers. I think especially in hardcore, it becomes very clear that there's a very, very small group of meta builds that dominate a little bit, and I think that is largely due to the defensive layers of Energy Shield being so dominant. Full armor, like going well into big into armor, is probably also a very big and a good thing. I think there's still some ways to go when it comes to when it comes to variety in terms of that, and that goes for probably all of that. Because I think it's pretty extrapolated in hardcore that where it's shield wall, it's like all the energy shield base builds, and it kind of goes a little bit. There's not too much build variety, I would say, at least when it comes to the upper echelon. You can play anything, obviously. You can play anything if you don't really aim for like the highest meta or you want to push top 100 or whatever. But yeah, I think there's still some work to do when it especially comes to defensive layers. I've been very impressed with I couldn't even believe that it is possible, but Anthony, I'm just Anthony who's doing a blood mage right now, and I think mainly his defensive layer is just live gaming, but also leech, and I've been very, very impressed with how well it functions, especially with the live leech. And at that point, I was a little bit mad that the only way for non-blood mages to get life leech is the covenant, and I think in the future, especially for casters, there's definitely an opportunity there to maybe give spell leech to more casters in that way, maybe to get it there.
That would be lovely. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. I think when you start playing hardcore, the first consideration, at least for myself, in terms of like what build I'm gonna do, is how I'm gonna build defensively. So, like for example, when I was doing the tactician build, pushing to 99, you kind of were like, I was kind of like, how quickly do I move into energy shield and evasion and deflect? Like, do I do it at T1 maps? Do I do it at T15 maps? And that kind of feels like, if that's an option for where you start on the tree, that's sort of where you end up, because it's just so much better than like life and armor and stuff like that. I'm actually working on a video right now to kind of elaborate on this topic that should be coming out in the next few days, just about the life problem in general. And there's a few interesting like things that are kind of are known but not really talked about. Like, life on the tree has been a thing that we've been talking about since 0.1. It's been a very deliberate design decision by GGG to not do this up to a certain point. I was rewatching some of my previous conversations about this, and I was talking with DM about it specifically, and he said that he doesn't think that life is ever going to be added to the tree, which I thought was disheartening, but also interesting and curious. So I started looking at the tree, and right now it is a 15 to 1 in terms of how many points you can put into life, like maximum life versus energy shield. 15 to 1. Okay. Like that, the disparity there is just so crazy. And so I don't know, like, this is a topic that's kind of been beaten to a dead horse at all, like over the last like year, essentially. But it just feels like, with their decision to not do it, it's resulted in this meta that we find ourselves in, not only in terms of like scaling, but also, you're very familiar with chaos inoculation. It's just insanely good. Like being immune to chaos, poison, and bleed and shit like that, on top of having more health, like, whoo. So yeah, like, do you think that we're gonna see a change? Or do you think that it's just gonna be ES all day, baby?
I mean, as an ES enjoyer, yes, let's go. I'm good. I'm I like Energy Shield. I I don't think I can do this a little bit longer. It's just and like you said, this has been like a topic of conversation on our podcast for like 20 times already. So I'm just gonna cut this very short. I just think when you compare the two, because if you think about life and Energy Shield, it is the same. Energy Shield doesn't really offer you any like inherent damage reduction or whatever in life too. Why can you scale the one? Why can you scale one so much and not the other one? If life doesn't offer you anything when you go live, why would you go live? And I don't know. What the solution is, I don't know. Is it like the more life you have, the more armor you have inherently, or whatever? I don't know. But the comparison is just life on its own. If you see it in a vacuum and Energy Shield doesn't exist, yeah, then it's a whole different story. But um, that's why people also say blue life. It is blue life, but it is a way of scaling life so much more. And there's just like I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense if you think about it. But I don't think Energy Shield needs to be nerfed into the ground. I think we need to find other ways that can rival Energy Shield as a defensive layer.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I kind of talk about this in the video that I'm dropping. It's created sort of like interesting solutions to this problem. I think, like as you mentioned, like Blood Mage is a great example of this, where like the ascendancy itself gets overflow, and you can also achieve this with like the unique body armor as well. But just having that, like actually makes life less shitty on the Blood Mage. And another one that I've been experimenting with in this patch has been like Sorcery Ward, which is like, oh my god, like Sorcery Ward is insanely good for life builds. And it's funny because you don't build into life at all. You just build into making your Sorcery Ward way better, and
Yep.
that solves your issue, right? And so I just think that like GGG can and very much hopefully will get creative with this. Like, imagine if
Yep.
there was a notable on the tree that gave you essentially what Sorcery Ward does for Ward, but for life. So maybe there's a notable on the tree, bottom left side where the warrior's at, that like converts a percentage of your armor into extra life at the cost of armor. You know what I mean? That could be cool. That could be interesting. That might be able to help warriors, tank those big physical hits. There's a bunch of stuff like this that they can cook up, and I'm sure that down the road
100%.
we've been complaining about it so much. Like I really hope to see it, and I as much as I love DM, I hope he's wrong about this. That we will see the changes. Okay. Going back to the stuff we were talking about in terms of the end game. So the main thing that I've heard you say time and time again is like difficult content. What are some other like QOL or things that you want to see that drop in 0.5? Is there anything that sticks out to you that'd be like, yo, this would make my endgame experience so much better if it came in 0.5?
I think when it comes to the endgame loop, it's I enjoy mapping. I should start with that. I personally really enjoy mapping. I know a lot of people, and I'm always very, very surprised when people that are spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in PoE2 say in my chat or wherever else, they say like, oh my god, I have to do maps, or especially this league, it was I have to do maps now after temple or whatever. I'm always very surprised by that opinion, because that's basically the basis of what the PoE2 endgame is right now. It is going to be maps. I personally really enjoy it. So I think maps being the basis for the endgame experience is something that I think will always stay, and it is definitely part of it. I think the temple in like theoretically already shows you a little bit of what a good endgame league mechanic could be when it comes to widening what the endgame is, except for maps. It's not really intrusive because you get the charges passively by just doing killing just a few extra mobs in your maps. It's not intrusive at all. You don't have to like it doesn't like what is the word I'm looking for? It doesn't really, it's not intrusive to what you're doing in the map, and then you just get the charges and you go into the temple and you have like an infinitely scaling mechanic basically. And that is also why I think Delve, for example, would be something that in the future would be coming, and it could be something that could really widen the end game that it is right now. Honestly, in terms of everything else, I think whatever I say now, I think it's just gonna be just gonna be aging very badly, because GGG always comes up with this crazy solutions to stuff. Like whatever we think is gonna happen, GGG always has like a little bit of an upside when it comes to what they introduce into the game. So I think it's gonna be crazy. I think the end game loop just needs more variety. It needs more scaling content. I think one of the worst feelings that I personally have in PoE2 right now is hitting that wall of like, okay, every content that I do now is just yeah, I'm not doing this to progress, but I'm just doing it to play the game basically, you know. I would like to have more content where it's like, oh wait, I need to actually progress my character towards this point to be able to do that content. And in most cases for this league, it has been when people really juiced up their temples. So they went in and said like, oh, my character needs to be stronger now because my temple is getting really juiced. But in that case, it was kind of solved by, okay, I just need to get a head onto it, and then I can just do my temple. So
Yeah.
it's once again the whole progressing thing. And I know, very important to say in that regard, whenever I call for like more challenging and more difficult content, it's very important to mention that yes, of course, I'm in the position where, oh yeah, of course this guy is getting bored after a week because he's playing 14 hours a day. Yes, I do fully realize I'm speaking from a position of, I play this game basically as a job. I go super fast. I sweat my ass off as much as possible. And yes, it is. I'm speaking from my perspective, obviously, but I still think that even for the dad gamers and even for the people that are not playing the game as a job and even playing the game as a few hours every night or even a few hours every week, I still think that having more challenging and more rewarding or like more difficult content is still something for those people and those gamers to also aspire to, and then being like, oh damn, I haven't killed this boss in this league, so this is like the goal I'm working towards. I think this is good for everyone. I don't think having this type of content and having these like uber bosses or like these very difficult scaling content types I don't think it's just good for people like me. I think it would be good for everyone. It kind of depends on the mindset, because like we already said, this is a game of comparison all the time, especially in the streamer space, and people that play have like a few hours to play every week. There are some people that always still then compare themselves to like people, the streamers or the fob guns or whatever, and go like, I can't do it like this, and I want to engage in this content, and I get that, but at the same time, it's like GGG has to like please everyone in that regard. And I don't think having like more challenging content and more content to do in the end is like bad for anyone. I think that's ridiculous to say, even though, yes, the dad gamer with 4 kids and 2 jobs might not kill Uber Arbiter in the first week or whatever, but I don't know how that is a bad thing, because I'm not saying that that even is a bad thing. I don't think that you should be like, I couldn't do it. Like I'm not as far as Fopcon is now. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I don't. I don't even think that's a question. Like personally, the way I would look at it is that for folks like you and I who play the game, borderline too much, we can finish all the content if we just like blast for like a week. You can kill Uber Arbiter or whatever. For the person who doesn't play a lot, maybe it takes them a month, and that's fine. To each their own. But if there's more difficult content, then maybe our time gets extended by 2 weeks to achieve the pinnacle of whatever that is in terms of the most difficult content. And then the person who isn't playing it a lot has now 2 months of shit to do before getting bored and moving on to playing a different game. And so I don't think it's ever a bad thing to just have a like increased level of progression and difficulty, because at the end of the day, that just extends the amount of time we get to play the game. Some people may look at that poorly, I guess, in terms of like, I just want to get everything done and move on. Maybe I never really look at the game that way, so I have a hard time sort of relating to that particular perspective. But yeah, like I think I would 100% agree with what you said. Like, I don't think there's a downside to just having like more shit to do in the game in terms of difficulty. Like, it just extends how much we can play the game, and I would like to play the game a lot. So yeah, I'm on board with that for sure.
I would kind of take World of Warcraft as an example, even though, no, I would take like if we take World of Warcraft as an example, just for that. When I was playing, like in a raiding guild or whatever, I never really cared what. I didn't really care that we were in like a mythic raiding guild or whatever, or like a top world mythic raiding guild. That was their stuff, and we did our stuff. And when we killed, and when we did the full heroic raid within like the first month or whatever, that was like our success. And I personally, I never really got that comparison thing of like, oh wait, why are we not rating the same content that Mythic is doing, or that Limit is doing, and that Echo is doing? Why are we not like the world first raiders? So I think that also goes for here. There's it's just I don't know. I think it's a difficult topic, because every time I speak about that topic, and I say this on our podcast as well, a lot of the comments are always like, yeah, of course you say that because you can play the game so much. But I always think like I don't think that would be taking away from anyone, because it's just added stuff. And you can still grind whatever you want to grind, even though like me personally, I wouldn't even need, if we had like an uber boss that is like the hardest boss in the game or whatever. I didn't even need to that be like insane loot. I just want it as a challenge, and I just want to have like an epic boss fight where you have one try and it's like, oh my god, and you have to dodge and weave, and it's like phase or whatever. It's just about that. It's not even about loot for me. It's just and to circle back again, I think just PoE 2 lends itself so much to that type of content, because we have such an amazing vibe in the game. I think it just lends itself to having like insane bosses that come like with a big voice line and they laugh at you, or like it's just sad, because every time I just have to think of Zesht. it's like you come in and it's like that dream, and he comes out like, and it's just like, oh,
And then he's dead. Yeah.
and it's just like, come on, it's like, come on.
All right. I'm
There's so
gonna
much.
suggest something to
opportunity.
you that I discovered through my exact same like want for this. And I did this league. I don't know how you feel about challenge runs, but I think that you would actually enjoy the fuck out of this if you haven't done it before. So before Timmy's league started, I did a run with Mace Strike only. So I could not use any other skill. I could not use any spirit gems. It was just Mace Strike only, hardcore SSF. Don't look at me like that, okay? It was fun, I promise, okay? And the thing that I discovered about doing Mace Strike only is every boss can be exactly how you described. You're dodging, you're fully like aware of all of the mechanics. You like are having like a 3 to 5 minute fight with every single boss. I died in the monkey, which I thought was pretty good for my second. Me and the monkey went head to head, big stick versus big stick. And dude, I was building a character using weapon set points to like spec into splash damage on weapon set 1 and single target damage on weapon set 2 with maces. And I was like just about to get my 3rd support gem socket. And I was like, what am I going to build for this? And it was honestly like, in a way that you've explained how much fun you've had playing hardcore, I felt that way about playing this challenge run because it brought me back to like, damn, like all of these fights exist in the game. You just kind of have to nerf yourself to the point where like you can experience them, which sounds bad, but like it is a way to do it. And so I'm gonna put that out there. If you ever are keen to get back to those things, like, dude, just run like a basic attack only challenge run and see how far you get. Because I guarantee you'll be like, holy shit, plays this thing on cooking something here. You know what I mean?
That's so funny because that's also the second argument that I get as pushback to what I just said all the time as well. It's like, yeah, of course you're saying that because you're playing the best build in the game. Just it's basic. And I said earlier, I said before to that argument, it's like saying, of course you're saying you're running too fast. Just try to run with 2 broken legs, and then you're gonna imagine. It's like, yeah, I get it. As long as it's fun, I fully get it. But I think the point still stands.
It does. No, 100%. It's not taking away from your point. It's just like it exists. Like
I know.
Like fighting Jamin Ra with a mace and that's it. And just like, it was like, it's so fun, but it's so hard. Anyway, look. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know, you would also enjoy that possibly, or maybe not. And dude, like the community was so attached to that journey. They were like, I died and a lot of people were coming to the stream like, Blaze, what happened to the mace guy? Like I named him Masochist, and like they were like, what happened to Masochist? Like how far did you get? Like all this type of shit. Like they were very invested in the journey, which is cool to see that like the community was also down with that. So sort of as we wrap up. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, for me, my whole hardcore run was just always whenever I started streaming again and people were coming in. The boat death was rip 1 in my chat.
Yeah.
And every single day after that, and I was on my next hardcore character, every single day was just people spamming rip 2, rip 3, and they were just like, why, where are they? It's just people. I think people just came in wanting to see more rips. I don't know.
The amount of first messages I get in my chat that are just like rip 1 and then rip 2 and rip 3 are just hilarious. It's all
They're just
about
looking for the new ones that don't exist yet. Like, hello, have some faith in me.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Have some faith, please.
And that was like the only rip that you had so far, right? Like you haven't died after that, so you're doing pretty well, man.
Yeah, I did one hardcore run like on a whim on one stream because I had one stream in 0.3 where I was like, I don't know what to do today. Let's just do a hardcore run, and I just clicked on Monk and I did like any Monk build. I didn't even know. I think it was Stonewave or something. And in that stream, I just made it to Viper, and then I died to Viper. That was like my first unofficial HCSSF run. And yeah, this is the 3rd. The second one died to a boat, and now I'm on my 3rd.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Level 97 today.
Pretty fucking amazing, honestly. Like that's an amazing run.
I'm cheating. It's Lich.
It's Lich. Yes, Lich is insanely strong. As we all know. As sort of like a final question about the PoE 2 and the hardcore conversations before we get into some just lighthearted closing stuff. Like, if you die on this character, are you going to go again in Timmy's league, or are you just thinking, I've got what I've wanted out of this experience. It's time to move on to something else?
I'm overall reaching a little bit of a point in PV2 right now where I'm getting a little bit burned out on the game for this league. The league has been going for almost 2 months now. I've been going very hard in the first month, especially. I've been streaming for the first month of this league. I've been streaming on an average like 12 to 14 hours a day. So I've been going pretty hard. This is like the first, and then the reinvigoration happened with hardcore and everything, and with the second wind league at first, and now I'm starting. It's starting to go downwards a little bit on my motivation a little bit, and I want to listen to myself a little bit and just keep the juices a little bit for the next update. So I'll be seeing what happens. I was kind of thinking I still have the HCSSF character in maps, so I was thinking maybe also an HCSSF run, because I definitely had a lot of streamer benefits in this Timmy League, because
For sure.
as a streamer with a lot of people in your chat that are also playing in the Timmy League, you have the luxury of saying like, oh damn, oh damn, you don't even say it to your chat, but it's like, oh damn, I need an Abyssal Echo, and someone sends you an invite and gives trades you an Abyssal Echo. So I had a lot of streamer benefits in my hardcore Timmy League run. So I really want to see, I really want to do and continue my HCSSF run 100%. But right now I'm just seeing a little bit every single day what I'm doing. I'm definitely going to play a lot of some other games. And I'm trying everything in my power to not play World of Warcraft for Burning Crusade and then Midnight, and I'm trying everything in my power. There's a Fellowship update coming soon, which is a game that I really enjoy, and so yeah, I'm just going with the flow a little bit. I don't really plan too much, but right now, if I'm being real, I am getting a little bit. The motivation for PV2 right now is getting a little bit less, which doesn't mean that I don't love the game. I love the game to bits and pieces. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, of
What
course.
happens?
No, I think that totally makes sense. You've done like a solid 2-month run doing like, big streams, like, many days of the week. And you've done a lot too, like with the softcore trade, HSSF, Timmy's League, like second win. Like the amount of gaming that has been happening for the last 2 months is like substantial. So yeah, man, no, that totally makes sense if you want to just like chill out, do something more vibes related. So as we sort of wrap up here, I didn't really want to ask about this, but I guess since you brought it up, let's take a stab at it. So, in terms of WoW, talk to me about sort of like your, I guess, dilemma about like why are you thinking about jumping in, and where's your brain at right now? Because it kind of sounds like to me you have sort of these like two sides to you. You're like, I want to play, but I don't want to play, and like what's happening there in terms of that decision.
I think it's a lot of nostalgia, obviously. I think, um, especially Burning Crusade was like something that I really enjoyed back when it initially released. I think I was, how old was I when Burning Crusade released? 15, maybe?
Me too. Yeah.
Around 15.
Yeah.
I'd say around 15 or something. So it was like really something that I loved back in the day. I don't know why I would say like I don't want to play it at the same time, because it just feels like I don't know why I'm so conflicted. I couldn't even put it into words what the conflicting part is. Today, what really enticed me was just the thought of just leveling 1 to 60 for some reason. Didn't really have to do anything. And just like no add-ons, no like rested XP, nothing. Just starting with a level 1 character, just no music as well, just the World of Warcraft ambience and the music, and just going through that. I think it, to me, today that sounded like so chill and just like so relaxing. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just do that, and like I don't care about TBC or like rushing in TBC to level 70 and then raiding, or like going dungeon groups or whatever. I think what I'm mostly longing for is just like leveling and just experiencing the world and everything, because yeah, I think that was always, or is still, the most amazing part about classic WoW. It's just everything, the ambiance, the music, the leveling zones, also the lore a little bit, the quests.
Yeah.
So,
All the classic dungeons
I don't
too.
know what
Yeah.
I don't know what the conflicting part is. It's just it's always like a little bit always the thing of, oh, I don't want to go into that hole again, but at the same time, why not?
It is such a vibe. Like, I don't know if I told you this, but before PoE 2 came out, I played so much classic hardcore. And man, I think like out of all of the MMOs that I played a lot of them throughout my like teenage years and whatnot. The leveling journey from 1 to 60 is probably the best in World of Warcraft. Like the journey from from level 1, you're dropping into Elwyn Forest, you're dropping into, you know, whatever whatever area you start, like it's just such a good time. And even like watching you kind of check out someone's stream today and the music was on and like the wetlands and shit or wherever he was, like I don't know where he was, but yeah, there was a certain thing that like activated in my brain that was just like, I could get into this too. And I think
And that's probably a lot of nostalgia.
100%,
So,
100%. But yeah, no, I understand the desire to, and it also is just such a completely different change of pace from like PoE. Like it's so much more chilled, as you mentioned. So yeah, dude. I mean, I hope you don't die in hardcore, but I also kind of want you to play this because I want to live.
Kind of do.
I also want you to. I want to live vicariously through you, just questing and WoW when I tune into this. So yeah, just as like a final couple closing questions. So on a sentimental note, I view you as somebody who's definitely had a positive impact on me, my stream, my content, stuff like that. So thank you so much for that, for all of the help that you've helped me with. I wanted to ask you if there's anybody else that has helped you have a positive impact on your stream, or been you know, somebody that you've looked up to or had help along the way.
Oh, a lot of people actually. I think like most of this was also due to me being able to like pick the brains of other people and just vibing with those people and just like talking to them. And it's like that has been a huge impact on me. Like, for example, someone like Prada that I basically started off with at the same time. Same goes for Farmer. Like me, Prada, and Farmer, I see as like the PoE2 newcomers basically, because we all started around the same time, and we all three started basically only as PoE2 focused communities, and just like getting to know these two, or like having contact with those two was just such a blessing. Prada is like the funniest person I think I've ever witnessed. He's like, I don't know. I don't think I was ever jealous of a person like I'm jealous of Prada with all the talents he has, like impressions, playing the game, and he's like very young too. So Prada is just amazing. Farmer is insane. I think Farmer is, if it was only for me, I think Farmer has like a very bright streaming career ahead of him, because he's incredibly good at what he does, and I've taken a lot of inspiration from what Farmer does in his streams and how he acts like with his stream, and how he I think Farmer also thinks a lot about how his streams are supposed to be entertaining every single day, and that's something that I've really also thought about a lot, because I always when I stream and when I start my stream every single day, it becomes like a normal thing to just start your stream every single day, and then it just kind of happens. But I always think it's very important for me to always think about it. What am I actually doing here? And what am I actually trying to do? And what is the vibe I want to give off? And how do I be at least a little bit entertaining without being fake at the same time? That is very important to me as well. I don't want to do the whole thing of like, oh my god, an exalted orb on the ground or whatever. I want to be entertaining without being fake, and Farmer is an insanely good streamer. Just when it comes to streaming talent, Farmer is insane. One of the best people I've also met is Local. Obviously, Local is like an amazing person. Fucking amazing person. Has been there for me from the very start when I was like a very, very little gup streamer as well. Has helped me out with so many things when it comes to just like how to traverse the whole streaming thing, how to traverse the whole content creation thing. Has been like a huge help. I love him so much. It is insane. And just like once again, I also said like my community, the people that come into my stream, that found my stream by chance and stuck around, that has been like such a blessing. And the biggest the biggest inspiration to me and the biggest positive in all of my life when it comes not just to my streaming, to everything that I do, is my wife. So that is just like having the support from my wife every single day and everything that she does for me and what we do for each other. It's just like I could have the best streaming career of all time if I didn't have my wife. I wouldn't. Like, that is fuck that. So it's just like there's not even like so many people to mention. I could mention Rake as well, like, who has been in my stream for a long time, that I've become really good friends with, like people that have been from the start in my community, like Pierce, like Walk, like Kata, like Tulata. Like I could name so many things, like Herminator. Like there's so many people in my chat every single day that just bring the positivity, that come in there, make this. And I say this every single time in my stream. I always say, like, thank you for everyone for being here, for making this stream awesome. It's not just me, in my opinion. It's just like I couldn't have asked for better. Also, shout out to Mobalytics, by the way. Mobalytics, amazing company. I worked in esports before. I've seen like the dark side of esports contracts and like the gaming space and whatever. Mobalytics is insanely nice, and they didn't even have to be. They basically offered me a contract for something I would have done for free on the side anyway. I would have released my guides there for free, and Delcora from Mobalytics came to me and said, like, yeah, but we can give you like the partner agreement and you can monetize your clicks on the site. And I was like, oh okay. So yeah, it's just like I've had so much luck over the last year and so many people that helped me so much. And it's, yeah.
Dude, that was such a good answer. There's a lot. It takes a village. And dude, I've definitely realized that on my own as well. And yeah, dude, that was so sick. You just shouting out all the people that have been like inspirational to you. From Prada and like Farmer kind of starting at the same time to, Local Hole and like all these wonderful people in the community. It's been a special year, man. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for like taking the time today to come on, yap about
Always.
the game, and just reminisce on this crazy 25 and get excited about the future year ahead, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I will always. This was our second one. We can. I think the last one. How much time ago was the first one?
6 months ago, actually, almost.
6.
Yeah. Time flies, man.
Flies.
Yeah,
time flies.
Yeah. We'd love to have you back on the podcast. For those of you who are living under a rock and are not aware of this man, just shout yourself out, dude. Where can we find you, and what are you going to be working on in the future?
Hello, my name is Blakesworks TV from Toronto, Canada. I bake incredible YouTube content and
and bread.
and bread. Very good baker of bread.
Yes.
Also, basically, Dead Rabbit on everything. I don't have any platforms other than Twitch or YouTube. That's it. I don't have any other social media. I stream Path of Exile 2 every single day on Twitch and YouTube. That's basically it. I stream at the same time every single day. I would describe myself as more of a vibe streamer. I try to be positive. I try to include everyone. Like if you're looking for that, you might like my stream. That's basically it.
All right, guys. As always, links to Rabbit's YouTube and Twitch will be in the video description. That wraps up for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on the Twitch or YouTube live streams, I appreciate that. And we also just appreciate the support that we've had from the community over the last year. It's been incredible. Can't wait to bring you guys more podcasts as they unfold every week. So until the next one, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Fist.
All right, everybody. That wraps it up for this episode of the Passive Tree Podcast. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe for more PoE2 content. I have a bunch more episodes of the podcast lined up with some really great guests, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you're interested in supporting the podcast and the channel, consider supporting through Patreon. There's a link in the video description. A special shout out to Kevin F. for supporting this channel. I appreciate you. Thank you. And until next time, happy blasting, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.